Hello everyone, we're back with another game on Pandanet, hopefully. And this time we're going to try to make it so we don't have a handicap. We do adjust the settings. I forgot that they did handicap with the settings I did before. So we'll see if we can get a game and we'll go from there. All right, we got a game pretty quickly. We can say hello and then we can ideally start playing. We are white in this game versus another 10Q this time. I think I'm not sure if I want to stick with 4/4s if I want to do other things, but for now, we're going to keep it as simple as possible. They are shoulder hitting our 4/4, so we're going to respond. Because if they are doing something special here, I don't want to know. And I'm just going to back off as well, because we're getting a lot of territory in the corner, so I'm perfectly fine with this. And here, we are able to slide on both sides, so we could do that. What I don't want to allow is the turn, because that makes the group very strong. So I'm going to slide here. Yeah, now that they've blocked, we don't owe any more moves. Had to think about it. And now we can go on to the other area of the board. If we play a 4/4, they can approach from the left side very comfortably. And if we play a 3/4, they can approach from the top side very comfortably, but we're hurting the left side more. So I think I'm interested in hurting the left side more. So I'm going to make this 3/4 move. They are attaching to our stone in a very unusual way. If we hane and they cut, we're probably fine, honestly. But the more important and easier way to deal with a situation like this is that there's an obvious weak point in this shape. There is this elephant's eye. And if they push us from either side, we're pushing through their shape in a very comfortable way. So I'm just going to extend here. And see, this is a shape you never want to make. You never want your opponent to be pushing through the knight's move here, because what is going on is their shape is completely broken and losing liberties. And so the more we're pushing through here, the worse their groups are feeling. And compared to the last player we played, they feel definitely a little bit more like maybe weaker than 10Q versus being a regular 10Q. You'd never want to play this empty triangle here. So what I want to do is I probably want to attack these 3 stones, make sure they don't have a base. The group on the left is a little bit stronger, so I'm going to play a little bit far away in a spot where they would have wanted to play, just to get rid of this base on this group. I'm playing high just because I like playing high. It could be low as well. And here we're just pushing through their shape again. Being able to come over the top on the left side would be very, very happy. And being able to come over the top on the other side is also quite happy. So no matter what they do here, we're preventing the tiger's mouth right now. We're not upset in the slightest. The cut does technically work. So they'd have to back off. And then we're sort of hurting this stone a little bit. So I want to threaten the cutting point by playing this diagonal move, because it helps me get some shape. And then we're going to pull back. I want to go all the way to the corner. Sadly, there's too much of a shape issue with that. We're too far away from our stone. So 2 spaces or 3 spaces would be fine. But I think because they're weak, I want to play a little bit closer to my group, so that way they can't lean on it as much to get strength. But this is also just a strong group now. We don't need to run. We don't really need to do anything over here. And we can actually just go back to playing a normal move somewhere. The bottom right corner is actually very tempting. Something my opponent is not doing is that they are not making any territory, and they're also not attacking me at all. I don't know if they think they're attacking me by pushing me through like this, but they are not attacking me in any way. So we can just take territory. I think this group on the bottom is strong, so I'm going to take territory with my top left corner instead. And then if they don't go into the bottom right, then we can take territory there. Okay, now they've gone into here, so we don't have to worry about it. We're already strong, and they're playing into a position where I can double approach. Not a pincered position, but a position where I can double approach. So I think I will just double approach here, because this is the next sort of weak group that we want to handle. So we're already strong here. They could have pushed through the shape here, but that is okay. We are happy to just let them live here if they really want to live. And very, very happy to extend here. This is something else that they're doing that's not quite nice, is that Yes, this is somewhat helping them to live, but also pulling back would have done the same thing. But in this case, it's sort of forcing me to go up here and fix my shape, which is even better. Because before I had the same shape they had on the other side, but in this case, it was a little bit different because they were weaker. But now I've fixed my shape on the outside, and I don't have any problems there anymore. Even tempted to play again locally. It's not really worth that many points. So I'm also happy to fix my cutting point here. Just fix it directly. And that also seems good. I already probably have more territory than they do. And so just making sure my groups are strong is going to be good enough. So they didn't need this move. This was just a big territory move. My group is pretty strong, but it's not perfectly strong. So I want to play on a side that makes it, or that emphasizes this weaker group. So I don't need to make a base right now because my group is strong enough. But if I approach on the right side, for example, and they back off, then I'm very happy to pull back. This is quite small, but I'm going to answer to make sure my group is strong. And I'm jumping because the Hane would be a cut or something they can peep at, and I don't want to allow that. Whenever someone kicks, you always extend. You're always very happy to do that. They did not answer us, though, so we can now do a common punishment, which is the attachment on top here. And we could play another way, like AI has a new way of punishing this, but we're going to stick with the old variation, which is just extending here. And then we can cut, which is threatening to capture in multiple ways. Yep, extend. Now we can Atari here first. This is important. If you Hane first, you may not be able to get certain things, but it's all good. So now we can Hane. They have to capture these 2 stones. We can force them to capture. And now we can make a nice tiger's mouth here. So we got to potentially get the top side of the points. And we got to fix a lot of our weakness on the other side. And this is actually not a stone that can cut me because this is just a net here. The regular connection would have also been fine, but both of them connect nicely. This is a bit strange, but I'm fine with just blocking. I get to make this whole area much stronger. We're going to Atari this direction. And then we'll just capture the stone that they Haned with because we're going to be able to connect everything up, which is really comfortable here. We do not want to allow them to capture us here. So we want to fix in a way that gives us the least amount of Aji later. And I think I want to just capture the 2 stones here directly. So I think I will do that. There's at least some Ataris and some other things I would have to worry about. So if I just capture it directly, no more worries to think about it all. And now they have another weak group that they have to consider. And their corner was alive. So they didn't have to play this move at all. Which means that we can now attack their 4 stones. And when I say their corner was alive, it's because if I did take the eye with like T18, for example, they could just capture the stone at N18. And if I connect there, they can go play in the corner. And then it was still a ko if I got to play in the corner. So their group doesn't really have a base yet. So I could play to get rid of the base still. But I also think that surrounding is another good option. If we surround and they jump and we continue to surround, we have slightly bad shape. So I think I will take the base away. Those are the 2 options, the base or the jump or the surround. The base one was easier for me to read out, so I played that one. Because now we can still surround. We can do it very loosely just by playing a nice knight's move here. Which means we're also surrounding this other group. And this is one of the things that separates stronger players from weaker players, is that they start to forget about the other groups that are on the board. So here we can play a really nice surrounding move. This is a very common shape for attacking. It's this stone into the knight's move, into another knight's move. This is a really nice attacking shape here. Cutting points don't really matter. So like if they cut us here and we connect and they extend, I think we're safe on both sides. So we can just block directly if we want to make sure there's no Aji here. So I think I will do that, even though there's a cutting point. Yep, just extend. I mean, just block. It's an extension too. Yep, just connect, not a big deal. My top side is 100% alive. There is nothing at all to worry about. My other group has basically 2 eyes already as well. In this case, we're going to connect. If they connect on the other side, we can block it still. Like this, yep. And they can't make 2 eyes. They were very, very greedy with what they were doing. We are still just going to block directly, because they still cannot make 2 eyes. Oh, I guess they can make 2 eyes. You know what? They could. If I Tanuki again here, they could. I'm going to throw in first. They have to block, otherwise they don't have the 2 eyes. It does change what I have to play in order to kill, but basically it's the same. And then I always suggest playing from the outside first, so I'm going to push here first. This is good enough. The Atari doesn't do anything, so we can just connect. We do have a shortage of liberties, but their stones are captured, so there's no liberty issue. Okay, now they connected, there's only the 1 eye that they have here. And I think I might as well kill them. They did something that was too much, and I'm punishing them for it, so we will just go for it. That move doesn't do anything. I can just capture the stone. I'm not really sure what the goal is, but I will just capture the stone. We could even connect here if we wanted to and capture the stone again, or we can just capture from this side. The side that is the safest side to capture on is the best. So if we capture on this side and they connect, yes, this is not an eye here, but we have protected any sort of odds on the other side. But if we think we need 2 eyes, then it's probably better to Atari from this side instead. We have 2 liberties. Capturing would give us directly 2 eyes, but leave us with a little bit of Aji on the other side. So I'm going to back off, make sure there's no cutting Aji. Because right now, all the cutting points are connected over here, and they can only peep. Okay, now they are playing away. It's probably a little bit too far, but we actually don't even have to really do anything. We have plenty of points to win, and so this is a time where you could just slide and let them have this area if you really wanted to. So I think that's what I'm going to do. This is how I would simplify the game. I don't want to create another fight. What I want is to make sure that they just have the minimum amount of points that they're allowed to have without trying to invade them, really. I'm pincering here just to get rid of any base they could make on the top. And since they did not block my stone on the left side, we can play here. If they attach and cut here, we can just connect. So we can just do this diagonal here. The diagonal is sometimes better shape than playing another knight's move, because there's more cutting points with another knight's move often. Yep, just keep blocking everything. Yes, there is a cutting point here. Do the best way to handle it. We can at least Atari here, but that could also get rid of a liberty. I think we will just block in the corner. Make sure that they can't do anything on the outside. And there is nothing they can do in the corner, but we can worry a little bit about liberties. One of the best ways to handle this is to play one of these inside moves, because that's how we can remove their liberties. Because if they block, then we can Hane and connect, and now there's just one move to make it an Atari into death. I think it doesn't matter which side we play on, so I think I'll play on this side. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. I think we have plenty of liberties here, so it doesn't really matter too much. We can just connect up here and make sure the group is dead. And if you can read it better, then you could also try to do something extra if you wanted to. Like now we could go back to this Atari. And this is going to probably be okay. We could then also go to this attachment if we wanted to. If they Hane, it's Atari, 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 like a lot of fun Ataris here. We also lose some stuff too. I'm not going to worry about that for now. I'm just going to capture the Ko first. The group is already dead in the upper left, so the Ko is fine. And we could probably actually capture again if we wanted to as well. For the purpose of this, we're just going to connect. because we can always pull back here and this group is dead. There's not enough liberties for them to live in the corner. And then we still have the Co as well. So I'm going to play the Co again. See what they use is another Co threat. Connecting is not really a threat, so I can just connect my stones as well. And I get to save some points in the corner because I don't have to go back and capture the corner anymore. But I got exactly what I wanted here. I tried to play that top left corner as simple as I could, just taking liberties. What I really wanted was to reduce the points that they could have gotten on the left side, and now they don't really have any points on the left side because they're pushing me from behind towards where their points were. I can even just jump here, 1, 2, 3, then jump, and we can do a nice wedge if we want to. It doesn't really matter here. Usually you wedge when they attach like that. They don't really have any cutting points though, so often you don't need to wedge. But we've already gotten everything we need out of this. They don't really have any points here anymore. The only other place they can really make points is maybe on the top side of the board, but it actually seems quite difficult. So because I was simplifying, I wanted to play this way. But now there is something we definitely need to address, which is the fact that this group is not alive yet. He did make a lot of strength here, but me just jumping this direction is reducing his potential to make points in the center, and it's surrounding his other group. And now his other group is surrounded, and we got 10 again, which is an automatic win. That move, it's threatening to make one eye on this left side here. So let's get rid of that eye by just pushing down directly here. Hane is fine. The cut doesn't do anything. It's just a ladder. The cut still doesn't do anything because it doesn't have enough liberties to live here. Yep, we do have to connect. But liberties matter quite a lot. Like in the upper left, this is a similar shape to the upper left, but they only have 2 liberties. So we don't have to answer. Whereas in the upper left, we had like 4 or 5 liberties, which was much better. So which means we still don't have to play another move here. We could if we wanted to, but we don't have to. So we can just play another sort of big move somewhere if we wanted to. For example, we are technically making a lot of points with this group, so I kind of want to expand the points and also poke at their shape a little bit. We're getting some extra points here towards that center area. And we get to peep at all their little shape points, threatening to cut them off. And we can easily just jump here or do the knight's move. Push and cut doesn't hurt, but it is still more open than the knight's move, so I will just do the knight's move. So we get a little bit extra in this area. This group's going to have to work really hard to live here. If it does, that's fine, because we'll just make sure our groups are strong. This is a peep that does cut, technically, so we will protect it. I'm going to protect it in an efficient way if I can. And we'll even block like this, which is another really nice shape. This bamboo joint with 2 stones at the bottom is a very nicely connected shape. And in this case, we can even sort of ignore this, honestly. We don't have any Aji on the other side. I think we can just directly capture this stone if we wanted to. But the other option is to get rid of any weakness that we have in our shape. So I'm going to opt for that option first. If they try to make some eye shape in some way and I try to kill them too hard, maybe they can cut me here at a N4. So I'm going to defend that cutting point so I don't have to worry about it in the future. And my stones are way too strong on the outside for there to be anything to happen to me. And so I don't really need to worry at all. I don't even need to read it on the outside because I've captured so many stones and I have such a strong formation. We're just going to turn here. There's the head of 2 stones, threatening to capture them on 2 different ways. And then they can't really make an easy eye here. We are perfectly fine. Is there any other way they can really make an eye? This attachment here, nothing really seems to work. I can't see any way for them to make an eye, so we can just go for a big move somewhere. I actually don't know what the right big move would be, but maybe we can just get rid of a capture of some sort. We can protect our stones. Like this one here, and the other one on the other side is big. There's also this sort of monkey jump-ish area, which we want to make sure is okay. I don't want to let them push through my shape here too much, so I'm just going to block right now. Show them that I'm all connected, I'm all solid. And yeah, there's no Aji for them to take advantage of. Again, they ignored their group. They never went back to defend it, and I even gave them plenty of opportunity while just playing light, simple reduction moves in their area. I feel like because I went through that effort, they should just probably end up dying in the area, probably. When you don't defend your group enough, you should probably be punished and end up dying with the group. If you need to defend, like if you can't really read out what's going on, then just defend. So that's what I'm going to do. I could play on the top side to fix this problem or fix any issue here, but because I have a weakness here, I'm just going to defend that weakness. And here I will capture the stones, so that way there's no Aji in the corner later. I think there's not really any Aji right now, but it's better than splitting if I'm not sure of any Aji that might be available. This is threatening something. If they push here at the start point, I have to connect at J3 to get rid of the eye. And if they have a move here at L2, they can potentially cut me. So I'm just going to block that to prevent any sort of cutting potential. It's always good to ask if your opponent's moves do anything. Never really dismiss their moves. Always try to figure it out as best you can. In this case, there's no way for them to make an eye. I know they want to make an eye, but there's not really a way for them to do it. If they play this move again, the start point, and I connect, and they play here, for example, a J1, I can Hane, and they can try to connect underneath, but I have an extra liberty on the outside. So it doesn't quite work right now. So we're just going to peep at their shape again, because I feel like it. that's the main reason, honestly. We could extend again here just because. But I'm not going to worry. We're going to go back to the top side. This is at least a little, like a couple points. They could have played like a big move there, but it doesn't quite do anything. And yeah, this doesn't do anything either. There's no eye there. I also, for these videos, I've been trying to also make sure that it's a good time for my opponents to play. Like in Japan right now, it is 12:30 in the afternoon, or the noon, whatever you want to call that. And so they're not like overly tired. This might be a game they're playing at lunchtime, or someone who's staying at home. And so we can just go back and play another connection over here probably. Yeah, so I was making sure that I'm not playing people who are just tired, because that would make it a little bit more not as useful, I guess. Not quite as useful. There is no Aji in my position, so I'm going to be playing this move over here to get rid of a peeping move they could have played, which would have been annoying to deal with. So, yep, get rid of the eye. This is actually pretty common for the DDK range, is trying to make a bunch of eyes like this that don't necessarily work. That's something you should always ask yourself. Like, if my opponent responds to my move, does it matter? Right? So if your opponent responds and nothing really changes in the situation, then you probably just shouldn't be playing that move. I think I know what they're trying to do here, though. I think what they're really trying to do is make some sort of shortage of liberties. And that could work eventually, like right now, maybe. So let's get rid of that problem by playing here. This is a reading thing, though. So if you couldn't read that, that's fine. That move does not do anything right now because I have the eye now. But they were recognizing a shape that could be taken advantage of. They just didn't know how to take advantage of it. So we can go back to playing another big move. We'll push in this area here. We can Atari. The capture is threatening to cut off the top side. Then we can just play a simple move in the corner here. Only pretty small moves are left at this point, so we're just going to get through those. I want to make sure to keep playing away so they know that their move did not do anything. I think that's actually really important. If they really thought the move did something and I play away and they can't find a way to continue, they're either upset, which is understandable, or they just thought their reading was good, which is also understandable. You often think, oh, this totally works. They play it like right away. And yeah, it doesn't quite work. In this case, there are still moves on the board, so I'm not going to fall for the passing thing that they're trying to do right now. I don't know how Pandanet handles all this stuff. I guess we'll just keep playing. I'll probably skip this part then. And now the game should be finished completely, except for maybe one Atari we can make. And now we can just pass again here. Nothing else that really matters on the board, so I don't mind passing, but I'll connect here to get rid of that sort of thing. Like do the proper thing, and then we can, if he passes again, we'll just go with it this time. I guess we do have to answer this one, though. So we'll answer this one first. That move isn't doing anything now. And there aren't really any other moves on the board, and this is Chinese. No, this is not Chinese rules, so we can pass now. There you go. We won the game. All right, so that was kind of a weird game overall. They played, very, very unusual moves, and were too focused on maybe what they thought was an attack, but I'm not even exactly sure. So I want to sort of talk about this first part here. I didn't talk too much about it in the game, just that I was going to respond to my opponent's move here. But I think when your opponent plays an unusual move in the opening, even if there's big open areas left, I think you almost always just want to respond to their move, even if it's just an unusual but normal move, like the approach. Yes, if you know Joseki, if you know a lot of stuff here, you could go and play another big move somewhere else. But if you just answer, that's never going to be bad. So when they play something that's even more unusual and an abnormal move, you should definitely just respond. And in this case, when you are shoulder hit, you should just push in one or the other direction. It doesn't really matter on this board. There's nothing else on the board to really tell you where to go. So I'm just pushing here. We could Hane, right? Normally you would Hane at the head of two stones, but I don't want to allow any cutting points, any sort of Aji. And I'm on the fourth line. If I was on the third line, it would be a little bit different. When you're on the fourth line, cutting points can be a little bit more severe because there's more room for your opponent to run. So even if it doesn't work, if they get this sort of cutting thing here, you can see that maybe they get some free moves, maybe it turns into a fight. And if it's a fight, we don't really want to handle it. So like maybe we'd have to answer this way to threaten to capture the stone. If they go here, now we have to answer in the corner because they can threaten to capture, right? We don't need to handle any sort of cutting point. Just extending towards the other side would be fine. I liked extending towards the corner because that's sort of a base point for my opponent. If I extend this way and they Hane and connect, that's actually helping them get a little bit of a base. And if I don't answer in the corner, when they Hane here, they do have a pretty close to living shape. So I'm focusing on the base first. And then when they play out here, we just make sure our area is completely covered. We have 3 stones in a row, which means we can now jump or do the knight's move. When I don't want to worry about cutting points, I'm doing the knight's move. When I'm on the fourth line, I'm almost always doing the knight's move like this. And now when they block, we can just play whatever else we want. If we wanted to be very aggressive, we could take away the base. But it's a very technically strong group of stones with a lot of liberties. So I'm not going to worry about taking the base. I'm just going to worry about taking big points at this point. And then they play another aggressive move. I did talk about this enough in the game. I thought that was good. Yeah, just extend. We don't need to allow any cutting points. That's sort of the thing that I really wanted to highlight in the review, is that it's entirely possible our opponent was playing this way because people will Hane and people will not stay strong with their groups. And because of that, there's a lot of cutting points that end up happening and they get into a fight that they end up winning. So I wanted to prevent that from happening. And I got a little bit of a glimpse of his reading power later on in the game when there were a couple times where he played moves that looked like they didn't do anything. My first instinct was that that's not an important move. But the more I read it, the more I was like, okay, I see he's trying to figure something out here. And so if it's a more complicated game, he might be better than the other 10Q players. So we just need to keep extending and not allow any cutting points. It looked like he was struggling to find a way to sort of do anything because there was nothing to cut. So we just are pushing through their shape. And then they did this, which was probably the biggest mistake so far. Yeah, the other moves were very unusual, very weird. They're at least getting something. But this move is basically doesn't do anything. It doesn't really secure the base for this left side group. And it doesn't attack me in any way either. That was the worst move so far. Almost never play the empty triangle unless there's a very specific reason why you're doing so. But after this, the game is sort of too difficult for my opponent. And you see that we are just getting a base. Again, we didn't decide to go too far into the corner. We didn't decide to do anything too extra special. We're just getting a base. This was maybe a little bit complicated, but I feel like it's not that complicated. Because he could have tried to attack me, but I can just push and cut these stones off, and it's not really a big deal. The other thing that is probably really important when dealing with this type of player is just taking big moves. They're not focused on big moves. So if you get stuck into the same mindset that they are, where they're just playing locally, some people call it like puppy go, where they're just playing in the same spot over and over again, or they're just trying to follow you wherever you're going. Don't do that sort of thing. You know that everything's fine. You could keep attacking them, but there's a lot of big moves left on the board. So play the big moves first and then go back to attack later. Because we don't know what we're even going to get from any attacks right now. We don't even know if our attacks are good right now. We need to fill out the rest of the board before we can know for sure. And so now we have a strong group. We are applying a little bit of pressure with the double approach. And now, again, we are just fixing our group, making sure there's no weakness that we have. And we're good to go here. This is our weakest group. We're just playing again on a side where we want to focus on our weak group. And again, we're not allowing any cutting points, even though this one shouldn't work, right? This is just a ladder across the board. It shouldn't work. But if we ever have to worry about it, that's not good. We can even give up the 2 stones if we really want to. But again, I'm not going to even allow that to happen. I'm just going to jump here, no cutting point. We're making sure our group is strong, and we don't have to worry about anything else in the game. I think there's probably nothing too much to worry about. I think the rest of it was covered fairly well in the game. They just never went back and defended their group, and I got to accomplish one of my goals, and then I got to then go back to attack the group, which they weren't able to do much with. A fairly straightforward game, but still something that's important to keep in mind. Look at the shapes I made in this game. See if there were any of those shape moves that sort of surprised you. Maybe that's something that is a weakness in your game. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. Hope you have a good day and have fun.